What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. We just had patch day yesterday, Tuesday for me in North America. And every week, Blizzard is rolling out new stuff on Alpha. Once again, I'm still not in the Alpha. I got to make sure I check that, but I'm 99% sure that I'm not. Yep, still not in the Alpha, so that's a big sag, but that's okay. We will press on anyway. So they've released the Mage trees and the Paladin trees are out. Now, Holy Paladin is not out yet. But that's okay. We have Prot and Ret. Right now, today, we're just going to do the class tree. The class tree is done, of course, for all three specs. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the class tree. I think it's a fantastic class tree, personally. There's a lot of choices, I think, that you're going to have to think about, depending on what content you're doing. There's sort of an Avenging Wrath collection going on here. So, like, you get the base version of Avenging Wrath, and then you can buff it later. And it's like how Berserk works for Feral Druid or Guardian Druid. That's an interesting mechanic. A lot of big cooldowns like Sack. There's the return of seals. So there's Seal of Mercy, there's Seal of Clarity, there's Seal of Crusader. There are 7 seals, just 7 of them on the class tree. So we'll get to that as well. And then there's some really powerful capstone nodes here. The return of Mad Paragon. There's a bunch of really good stuff. And one of the most important things, of course, Blessing of Protection is there, and Blessing of Spellwarding are on the class tree. So let's dig right into the class tree. I have a lot of good points I want to talk about. And then we'll have other videos in the next coming days on Prot and Ret, which also have fantastic trees. And I've looked at both of them. Honestly, they're really, really good. It's a great first draft for Paladin. So let's start this right off at the beginning. If you're running Prot Paladin right now, which is what I'm doing, you get Lay on Hands for free, which I thought was kind of interesting. I feel like Resto should probably, or Holy should probably get that, but whatever. You get Lay on Hands, and then you have Freedom and Hammer of Wrath here, right? So Freedom is very, very good. And then you have 2 auras already. So Paladins are going to have auras and seals now. Auras being the things that affect your entire party, and the seal being sort of that personal aura that just affects you. So you have Concentration and Devo aura, which is good. Nobody really uses Concentration aura, maybe in PvP. But 3% DR, very good. Retribution aura has changed a little bit. So Retribution aura says, when any party or raid member within 40 yards dies, you get Avenging Wrath. That was the old thing. Another part of this is when any party or raid member within 40 yards takes more than 50% of their health and damage, you gain Seraphim for 6 seconds. That's pretty cool. Actually, a really nice quality of life to Crusader aura, because it was kind of a meme, right? Like, you're just waiting for people to die and then you get wings. Like, that's kind of boring. But this Seraphim business at 50% health is actually pretty legitimate. So that's a very cool new aura. Then you got Divine Steed. You've got CC, AoE, Blinding Light, or Repentance, of course. Blinding Light's very, very good, in my opinion. Armor and crit chance. And then you've got the cooldown on your stun, Hammer of Justice, which is baseline. So this is a good talent for that. And then you just get 2% haste. And then you're into the second row. So Divine Steed is here, and then you can get 2 charges of Divine Steed, basically not for free, but, you know, it's there. It's interesting, like, if you hit Divine Steed, you can just continue down the very middle. So you're very likely to always get 2 charges of Divine Steed on every Paladin spec. And that is a really good quality of life, because Cavalier shared a talent tree row with stuff like Unbreakable Spirit, which is like a must-take for Paladins, you know? For Prot Paladins, sorry, in specifically. Like, not that, you know, you wouldn't want it on other specs as well, but particularly Prot Paladin, like, could never get Cavalier because you were kind of trolling your group if you didn't take the extra defensive. So now you can get extra mobility, and honestly, I think that Paladin suffers maybe the most with mobility, even more so than Death Knight. So glad to see that. This is a really bad talent here. Increase the duration of Divine Steed by 2 seconds for 2 talent points. Like, that's just, like, Divine Steed's great, but you just, like, getting 2 charges for a talent point versus getting 2 seconds for 2 talent points, like, the comparison's not even there. Like, this is just a very, very bad, this should be 1 point for 2 seconds, bare minimum, for Seasoned Warhorse. It should not be 2 talents for 1 second each. That's just really, really bad. So I think they should change that a little bit. Yeah, let's get to the second row. Now, we're into the second row here. We have Golden Path coming back for Consecration. Very good. This was like one of my favorite conduits as a prop paladin, especially. It was just really nice to like get that extra healing over time. And over the course of the expansion, it really did add up. And this will scale with your attack power. So it does scale over time. Okay? Then there's another heal in Judgment of the Light. Once again, a very, very nice heal over time. Over the course of time, it'll be really good. Especially for prop paladin, who's going to get 2 charges of Judgment like they have now on live. Avenging Wrath is here. The baseline for Avenging Wrath, my voice just cracked. This is what I meant about sort of the accumulating buffs on Avenging Wrath. It says here, combines with other Avenging Wrath abilities, granting all known Avenging Wrath effects while active. The baseline Avenging Wrath in Dragonflight just gives you 20% damage and healing and allows you for Hammer of Wrath. The baseline Avenging Wrath on live also is going to give you this Avenging Wrath Might over here, which is this, you get 20% crit as well. So you don't get that baseline on the tree over here, and that's okay. You're going to take other buffs that are going to change the complexion of Avenging Wrath. It's going to change the power of Avenging Wrath, and you get to see, like, you can change it based on what you want to do. Like, Sentinel is like a defensive side of Avenging Wrath. You get 30% max health, 30% DR, whereas Avenging Wrath Might is the 20% crit, so you're more offensive in nature. So I actually like this. It's just like Berserk for Feral Druid and Guardian Druid, and I really enjoy actually that mechanic. I think it's really cool. So you can basically give yourself the baseline Avenging Wrath, and then each of these specs can have their own twist on it, which is super cool. The node right below Golden Path is called Seal of Mercy, and this is the first seal that we see back in the game. There are 7 of them on this tree. So there's one here, Seal of Mercy. Then there's Seal of the Templar. And then there is Seal of Reprisal, which just makes you do more damage. Then there's Seal of the Crusader. Okay. Then there's Seal of Might. Then there's Seal of Order. And then there's Seal of Clarity. So what I don't know about the whole seal package is, again, we're not summoning a bunch of animals, a bunch of seals that are going to ARF ARF around. What I don't know is, like, if you're going to be seal weaving, which I feel like you're going to be, like, with 7 different seals, like, this one makes Golden Path do extra damage to an enemy and then heal an ally. This one gives you literally 3-yard range if you have Retribution Aura on, or Crusader Aura on. This one just gives your holy power spending abilities 20% more damage. This one gives your attacks a 15% chance to a chance for you to do 15% more holy damage, which is very good. This one gives you 12% mastery during wings. This one buffs your Dusk and Dawn effect and makes you do more damage and healing or have more armor. You know, this one gives you a 15% chance to reduce the holy power cost of your next Word of Glory or Light of Dawn or Shield of the Righteous by 1. Like, they're so situational, and they have so many different effects, and I don't know, like, I don't know how seals are going to work. I don't know if it's going to be like you can't change them in combat, so you have to pick a seal before you get into a particular encounter, and then that's it, you're done. I don't know if you're allowed to just weave them in combat over and over, like change depending on what's going on in the fight. Like, I don't know why you would necessarily want to do that, but I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you start the fight with Seal of Clarity, and then right before enemies are about, like, halfway through the fight, you switch to Seal of Reprisal. Like, I kind of hope that's not the case, because that would be kind of a cancerous gameplay to have to keep up with. Like, the APM on Paladin would just go through the roof. So my suspicion is that you can only change them out of combat, or that the effects that are on each of these seals is just so different that you're not likely to be swapping around anyway. That you're just going to stick with Seal of the Crusader, and that's it. You're done. So there are some very interesting bonuses here, though. Like I said, Golden Path strikes the lowest health ally and enemy for 100% of its effects. So it's kind of like a mini Ashen Hallow when you're standing in Consecration. You have to have allies in your Consecration, by the way. So very cool effect there. Cleanse Toxin is here. Very, very powerful talent. Shaman. All Shaman gets the ability to cleanse curses. but Paladin gets the ability to do poison and disease, and just for 1 talent. So that's the way it works in the live game. I'm just noting here, this is a very powerful thing that Paladins get, poison and disease. Judgment of Light is back, another heal. Sack is here. And there's a new choice node for Sack. This is really cool. So Sack, of course, you put it on a party member and they take 30% reduced damage, but you suffer 100% of the damage that is prevented. Then you have a choice here. Recompense. After your Blessing of Sacrifice ends, 50% of the total damage it diverted is added to your next Judgment, cast as bonus damage, or your next Word of Glory as bonus healing. So this is really cool. This is just like extra throughput, you know, that you're getting on Blessing of Sacrifice. When it ends, you can turn it into a defensive bonus or an offensive bonus, depending on what you want to do, which is really, really crazy. I think that's actually super cool. And then the other one is Sacrifice of the Just, reduces the cooldown of Sack by 60 seconds. So it's now a 1-minute cooldown. That's very powerful. Both of these, I think, are quite powerful. I think Sacrifice of the Just might be a little bit better, but being able to turn Sack into an offensive cooldown as well is kind of a neat idea. So I like that. There's 2 nodes for Judgment here. They literally just make Judgment do what Judgment does right now on live. So a little disappointing, but there's going to be nodes like this that are kind of filler nodes that just get you back to the level of power that you're kind of used to on live. Okay, so that's there. Let's go to the right before we get down to Bop here. Seal of the Templar. Again, 3-yard range. Turn Evil is here, which is actually interesting. It only works on undead, right? It's another CC for undead. Rebuke is here. There's your kick. Now, this is wild because this means that Resto, holy, I can't get Resto Shaman out of my head. It's stuck in my head, guys. Holy crap. I got to get that out of my head. Holy Paladin gets Rebuke now, which they did not get before. Only Resto Shaman had a kick. But now Holy Paladin can also get a 15-second kick, which is very good. That's just like any other melee. So very good stuff. I love that. I think that's really cool. Love to see healers getting... It makes sense a Paladin would have a kick. Let's be real. Seal of Reprisal, 20% more damage on your Holy Power spending abilities. This is sort of like insane. Like, I don't know how you wouldn't run this on as a rep Paladin for the most part. Okay. Then you have 2% speed and avoidance. Then we've got Holy Avenger and Divine Purpose. So you can take Holy Avenger for the big cooldown if you need it. If you need to triple your Holy Power generation in a particular moment. Or Divine Purpose, of course, is here to give you that consistently refund. That refund all the time, which actually feels really, really nice. So there. That's your choice node. I would go Divine Purpose, but that's just me. Blessing of Protection is here. Okay? Very cool. We like that. Very, very good. You can turn this into Blessing of Spellwarding down here. You're going to see that in a minute, which is really, really crazy. Avenging Wrath, cooldown reduced by 60 seconds. Again, it's kind of filler stuff like the Judgment. We don't really like to see this, but it is what it is. So this is a 3-minute cooldown, if you don't know, and then this makes it a 2-minute cooldown, which is what it is on live. And on live, like if you're leveling up in the game, you do get rank 2 Avenging Wrath, and it goes from a 3-minute cooldown to a 2-minute cooldown, but it should just be like baseline. It kind of annoys me that this is in here, but whatever, it is. Then you've got Touch of Light and Incandescence. Here's a new consecration passive, essentially. So Touch of Light, your spells and abilities have a chance to cause your target to erupt in blinding light, dealing 87 holy damage or healing an ally for 102. So, sorry, this isn't consecration. The other one has to do with consecration. This is kind of like a mini glimmer, but it's not tied to Holy Shock. It's just tied to anything you do. Has a chance to sort of zap an enemy or heal an ally. And obviously, I don't know if the numbers are correct. That's not a lot of damage or healing, but it'll be interesting to see how often this procs. It'll be all about how often this thing procs. And then there's Incandescence, which is each holy power you spend has a 5% chance to cause consecration to flare up, dealing medium holy damage to 5 enemies standing within it. I love that. I think that's really good. There is absolutely going to be a consecration build, and they are really focusing pretty hard on consecration as a whole for Paladin. There are buffs to consecration over here in the Paladin, the Prot tree, and there's a bunch of buffs to it in the Ret tree as well, which we'll get to that in a different video. So interesting stuff there. Now we're into the final row. Let's back off all this stuff here. So you're going to go down the left side. You've got Afterimage. After you spend 1 holy power, your next word of glory echoes to a nearby ally at 30% effectiveness. So this is really insane for Holy Paladin, because you're already going to have, let's say, 2 beacons out, Beacon of Faith and Beacon of, just your first beacon, whatever the beacon is called. Anyway, let's say you're running Beacon of Faith, so you get 2 beacons, or if you're running Beacon of Virtue and you get 5, after spending 1 holy power, your word of glory will echo to a nearby ally at 30% effect. It's just kind of strange, but if you already have a beacon, 2 beacons out, let's say this is almost like a mini 3rd beacon. So that's very powerful, just for word of glory, of course, but that's very, very powerful for holy. Then you have another seal of clarity. Spending holy power is a 15% chance to reduce the holy power cost of your next word of glory, or light of dawn, or shield of the righteous. Now, it doesn't say, there's nothing to do with ret here. So this is only like if you're trying to heal with ret or for prot and holy. It doesn't really apply to ret. So you're probably never going to take this as ret. Then there's Dusk and Dawn, which it was a legendary that nobody ever really took because there were just better legendary choices. But this essentially says that you're going to have 6% damage and healing and 4% less damage taken almost all the time, because it lasts for 12 seconds, which is a very long time. And then another seal. In Dawn, your holy power spending abilities deal 10% increased damage and healing, and in Dusk, your armor is increased by 10% and Flash of Light heals for 10% more. So just a straight buff, once again, to like prot and holy. If you want to go down here and get the extra healing and the reduced damage taken, all that jazz, it's right there for you. Let's look here. Aspirations of Divinity. Your Crusader strike now also grants you 28 increased primary stat for 6 seconds. That's kind of like a BFA thing, I think. Multiple stacks may overlap. So it only lasts, each stack that you get only lasts for 6 seconds. But if you can keep stacking it up over and over and over again, then you can get that rolling. Basically have probably at least 50 to 80 primary stat all the time, which would be interesting. This is very interesting because Crusader Strike gets replaced by Blessed Hammer for Prot Paladin, which means you get 3 charges of Blessed Hammer, which means you're basically going to get the maximum value out of Aspirations of Divinity almost all the time. So I think for Prot Paladin, this is just a straight stat buff if you want it, a strength increase if you're looking for it. So that's kind of cool. Crusader Strike, however, for like Ret Paladin, I feel like is a button that they don't really ever want to press. So it's going to lose some value there for Ret Paladin. But I think that's why it's on the left side of the tree in between. It's kind of straddling the Prot and the Holy stuff. So interesting idea. Then let's go down the middle here. Avenging Wrath cooldown, we talked about that. Unbreakable Spirit is here, used to share a cooldown with stuff like Cavalier, which is why this is so strong that you can get both of these now. This is really, really, really strong, really good for Paladin. The power level on that, honestly, is very huge. Then you've got Seal of Might, which is 12% mastery during Avenging Wrath. Mastery is fine for all 3 specs, actually. Maybe the least fine for Holy Paladin, but it's still fine. It's just more throughput, basically. So if you want just a passive Avenging Wrath seal, then there you go. Then we have Blessing of Spellwarding. So every spec of Paladin can get Blessing of Spellwarding. That is insane. It is so good. It does replace Bop, so you can choose to get Bop or Spellwarding, but this was previously only available to Prot Paladins. Now everybody can get it. So this is sort of like raid utility for Paladins, right? If you want to get into a raid, they might ask you if you're going to run Spellwarding, and you totally can. It's actually not even that far out of the way. It doesn't matter what build you're doing. You can basically always get Spellwarding because you're always going to want to get 60 seconds off of Avenging Wrath anyway, and then it's just 1 more point. So Spellwarding is really, really good. This is essentially raid utility, as I said, for Paladin, and it might, I think, increase the value on Paladin as a whole, especially Ret Paladin, which really didn't bring a whole lot to the group, right? Then at the bottom, we have Sanctified Wrath or Seraphim. Sanctified Wrath, of course, makes Avenging Wrath last 5 seconds longer because the base duration is 20 seconds. 25% of 20 is 5. So you get a 25-second Avenging Wrath now, which is really good because that means you can, when you get over to your spec tree and you start picking and choosing what you want to do specifically with your Avenging Wrath, you can start to fiddle around with that and have a longer Avenging Wrath. It also makes Judgment generate 1 additional holy power. This feels pretty mandatory to me for Prot Paladin, who gets 2 charges of Judgment, right? So I think that that's really insane. Seraphim is here too. I've never liked Seraphim at all, but I understand its value. I know why it's good, and it could be good. Maybe in PvP, this is what you take, right? Maybe. Having 5 extra seconds on wings maybe won't matter in PvP if you're just trying to blow somebody up in like a 6 or 10 second window, right? So maybe Seraphim is the play. Okay? Then let's go to the right-hand side here. Let's go down here. We did this already. We did Touch of Light and Incandescence. We've got Hallowed Ground. Consecration damage increased by 10%, which is pretty crazy because there's more consecration damage over here for Prot. So now you have 25% consecration damage for Prot, and you can heal while standing in consecration, and it does an extra additional damage to an enemy. And it's like you can see where the consecration build starts to build up here. Then you have Seal of the Crusader, which is a 3-point talent, and it gives you a chance to make enemies take 15% more damage from you. Holy damage in particular, which most of the damage coming out of any Paladin is holy damage. Consecration's holy damage. Templar's Verdict. Blade of Justice, I think, is holy damage. It's like everything you do is holy damage, basically. Judgment is holy damage. There's a lot of stuff there. So that's a very good seal. Very much in the Ret side of the tree, which makes sense. But if you're looking for some more damage, there it is for you. Then we have the Mad Paragon coming back in a slightly nerfed form, kind of. Mad Paragon used to reduce the cooldown, extend Avenging Wrath by 1 second every time you used Hammer of Wrath. But now they've included Judgment in here. Hammer of Wrath and Judgment deal more damage, and they extend Avenging Wrath by 0.5 seconds. This is really, really good. Hammer of Wrath, of course, is up here. When you're in Wings, you can use Hammer of Wrath for free, okay? So you automatically are going to get a cast of Hammer of Wrath right there, and it's going to extend Wings by 0.5 seconds. On top of that, for Prot, they get 2 charges of Judgment. So that means you get 2 extra extensions here. So again, you can start to see how that could add up, right? Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, Spender, Judgment, Consecration, Avenger's Shield, something else, Spender, and then your Grand Crusade triggers, and it gives you back a charge of Judgment, and you cast Judgment again, and you can see how you could start to get 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5 seconds, 6 seconds maybe extension on Avenging Wrath. It could very easily start to pile up. So you could take this from a 25-second cooldown if you're running Sanctified Wrath and turn it into like a 30, 32, 35-second cooldown maybe, depending, like if you're in Lust, because Lust does cool down the Judgment. So there's something here for Prot, and then Ret Paladin as well is also going to get access to the Final Verdict legendary, which when you cast Templar's Verdict or Final Verdict, you have a chance to like give yourself a free cast of Hammer of Wrath regardless of the target's health. So Ret kind of goes about it the other way. Prot gets 2 charges of Judgment. Ret kind of gets 2 charges of Hammer of Wrath, and they get to trigger Hammer of Wrath for free. So very lots of ways to extend the Avenging Wrath with Mad Paragon. So I think that's huge, actually. I think Mad Paragon is going to be really massive for Paladins, and you're going to be able to take this from a 25-second cooldown likely up to a 30 or 35-second cooldown if you're playing really, really optimally. And I think that's great. I mean, that is an amazing thing. The longer that Paladin can be in Wings, the better things are. And like I said, there's so much customization you can do with Wings now. In the Prot side, for example, you have the defensive or the offensive version of Wings, and on the Ret side, they're getting things like Crusade, or the Might version, Avenging Wrath Might. So there's going to be options there, and extending Wings for a very long period of time feels amazing to me. So that is the class tree for Paladin. Lots of really good tools. We have lots of auras for free. We have a bunch of new seals coming in that you're going to have to pick and choose which seal you want to pick up. We have Avenging Wrath synergies, combining Avenging Wrath abilities together to create whatever kind of Avenging Wrath you want there to be, depending on what encounter you're going into. Maybe you want a defensive one for a raid. Maybe you want an offensive one for Mythic Plus, whatever you want to do there. Every Paladin is now going to get the option to choose Blessing of Spellwarding, which is definitely going to increase the priority on Rep Paladins and make them much more viable. Blessing of Sacrifice now has a node that lets you go offensive or defensive with it, which is very, very cool. That's going to increase the value of Blessing of Sacrifice like by a mile. So a lot of really good things here, guys. A lot of good choices. Some really good flavor for Paladin. I think it's all here, and I'm happy with this class tree so far. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. What do you think about this class tree, Paladin in general? Have you looked at these trees? What do you think about it? I would love to hear from you guys down below. Thank you so much again for watching. Drop a like if you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that, guys. Helps me out a lot. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to support the future of what I'm doing, then Patreon's the best way to do that. There's a link down below. There are perks every month. You can pick and choose whichever level you want to go into. So thank you guys so much again. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.